So today, I'm here again with my friend Justin.holler with David Weekley Homes, Build on Your Own Lot. And we are going to talk specifically about investment options with the services that David Weekley provides.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's great to be here again. And I think that, it's a fantastic topic. One of the things that I'm constantly on different Facebook groups and different chats and things like that. One thing that all these real estate agents are always like, are there communities out there accepting investors? Are there really anyone accepting investors? And then the over-glaring trend that I see is that whenever somebody poses a question out there, there's generally comments and feedback. When it comes to the who's open for investors, I tend to be the only one replying to that. I tend to be one of the few that's saying, we got you. With Build on Your Lot, what I like to think of is freedom. It's you're only restricted by what the codes are and that specific area, especially when you're talking about like the downtown Austin area, which is where a lot of investment opportunities still lie. A lot of neighborhoods, nobody wants to purchase their dream home next door to a rental and have a revolving door of neighbors. So a lot of communities, a lot of David Weekley communities especially too, are not open for your investors. What's beautiful about Building Your Lot is that we don't have those restrictions. We're simply going to be regulated by the permitting authority and the zoning restrictions of that certain area. Now, of course, there's HOAs in communities and things like that, but a lot of these older communities and stuff like that don't have this intrinsic master plan community HOA that's only owner occupied.
And actually, if you don't mind, are there really a lot of them that limit it to owner-occupied?
I seem to get a lot of those.
I mean, the actual HOAs.
Maybe not the HOAs, maybe the builder.
Because I know the builders come up with that, but truly they only can control that up until when that person takes possession.
True.
Because they're no longer a part of that.
True. Yeah. After that's over, yes. But what we're having though is I guess there's a couple of different kinds of investors. You have your investors that are your big dollar companies or individuals out there that have deep pockets that are looking for some sort of way to shelter any sort of capital gains, or are looking to take advantage of this hot Austin market. Those investors are the ones that are thinking they're going in and trying to go into a community where there's a bunch of homes that are ready to be built and they just want to buy them up and rent them out. That's when I talk about investment, that's kind of what I'm speaking about. Not so much a person who's like, well, I'm going to buy this home, live in it for a couple of years, and then maybe rent it out when I upgrade. That's totally different. I mean, that's something I thought about with my own personal home. So I wouldn't consider myself an investor, so to speak. But when you have somebody who's really looking to come in and just invest in real estate rental property, you have this oversaturation market where you have still, and I think you've tested this, you're starting to see more of the multiple offers coming in, the over offers. A lot of it, I've got my cousin's husband is in the real estate investment game up in Dallas. He does a different model. He just bought a house for $65,000. He's going to put $35,000 into it, and then he's going to rent it out and then probably flip it for like $140,000 or something like that. That's a pipe dream here in Austin. You don't have that, but what you do have is the ability to come in, and in Austin there's a lot of older property that is in need of being basically torn down and rebuilt. What's great is that you have some bigger lots that have smaller homes on them that if the right investor comes in, they can come in and tear down that one old dilapidated home and then put up 2 possible units. Now, if it's wide enough, of course, you can put in a duplex, or you have the ability to put in A and B units as well.
Okay.
So you have 2 income producing streams on one piece of property, because right now, property is expensive. You're looking at, the other day I was approached by a real estate agent for a piece of property in East Austin. The lot, I think, was 22 feet wide and like 64 feet deep, and there was a 800 square foot home on there, and it was from $250,000, $265,000. The home was not livable. You're talking about like, I think it was 8,000 square feet of land for $250,000. I'm talking to a person out there in Liberty Hill now at 2-acre lots for that same price. So. It's very, it's price competitive. Yeah. So your price of land is up there. So it's nice that you can come in on a piece of property like that and possibly put 2 units. As you mentioned, we do have plans. We do have duplex plans. It's not something that we've done in this mass amount in the past. It's something that we've done some self-developed stuff. We're still learning about it, which is great because it gives people the opportunity to kind of come in and have some input on it, and it gives us some more flexibility and freedom to maybe change up the floor plan a little bit. Maybe take just a floor plan and duplicate one that they like. If there's a small enough floor plan that we can just duplicate, just do A and B sides, and they're identical. We're just flipping it around. That's a real easy transition to do. So, I think that when we talk about the investment aspect of it, that's the one thing, the first aspect is a person coming in looking to develop a piece of rental property. You can easily come in now, still do it for arguably, a reasonable price. We, for David Weekley, we handle all the permitting, we handle all of the infrastructure, working with the county and all that stuff. So I mean, there's a lot of advantages to having someone like us come in as a partner on this to build your investment.
Now, just to clarify, if you saw our other video, you probably remember this. But just to be clear, if it's undeveloped land, there's a certain kind of like threshold that you're going to require that buyer to get it to, right? I mean, when you said permitting and all that. In other words, if it's just vacant land.
Well, so let's say if they buy a vacant piece of property where there's no house on it or anything of that nature, like we're going to want to make sure that there's electricity brought to the property, water of some sort is going to need to be there. If not, if we're going to have to do a well, So there are some things that are done, and there's some stuff that we're going to work in conjunction with the buyer on. But it's not so much that we're going to say, here's what you need, go do it. It's going to be, here's some things you need, here's the path to getting there, here are the people to talk to, here's how we can help assist you getting there. So we're going to work hand in hand with the buyer, especially if there's somebody from out of state, which a lot of your investors are, so they don't know what's going on in Austin. They don't, and that's the thing. A lot of these people don't want to mess with all of it. They really just want to come in, purchase something, and start making money on it. Unfortunately, there's you have thousands of people looking for dozens of opportunities. So, and what happens then is that I notice that all those people are just trying to scramble and one-up each other over this one little opportunity instead of opening up the eyes a little bit and saying, well, this is option A. Is there an option B? Is there an option B that's not being, worked over quite as hard? And the reason that I think that, I would say this is the option B to it, the reason that I think that this is not looked at as hard is because there is going to be some stagnant non-income earning period. You're going to have to actually build the property, and there's going to be some time there. But the advantage to that is that the market is still growing and the companies are still moving here. So there's still time to get in on some investment property and build something from the ground up. The nice thing there is that you're going to be getting a home that when we build a home on Building Your Lot, we are not a market sensitive, price driven part of our business. Meaning that you can, in Austin right now, you can find a 2,000 square foot home on a 10,000 square foot lot for X number of dollars, and then you can go on the other side of town, same home, same size lot, same amenities, and it's $100,000 less. With Build on Your Lot, it doesn't matter to us where you put the home. It's the same price.
Gotcha.
So you're not going to be, we're not going to sit here and say, oh, well, this duplex built in Liberty Hill is going to cost you $400,000, but in downtown Austin, we're going to charge you $700,000 or $600,000. You may end up paying a little bit more for the land, and you may end up paying a little bit more for some of the infrastructure, but David Weekley as a company is not going to charge you more for that. So you have, again, back to that freedom of where do you want to do this? Where do you think it's right? What's going to happen? And then, and with that too, with a new build, you're going to have a warranty. Now, a lot of investors that I talk to are coming in and talking about, well, I want to buy something, I want to build it, I want to rent it out for 5 years, let the market continue to increase, and then I want to sell it for a profit. Fantastic. You're selling a home with 5 years left on the major warranty of the roof, the foundation, the frame, and the HVAC unit. And so there's a lot of real back-end positives to building new from scratch.
Right. Absolutely. And not to mention, usually that design is more appealing to whoever might want to rent it.
Correct.
And I mean, you see that all the time with older apartment complexes. They're forced to upgrade their facilities just to be competitive with all the brand new stuff that comes in the same area.
Well, exactly too. And again, especially if you're an out-of-town investor, part of the thing you don't want to do is you don't want to buy something that's going to have a lot of problems.
Exactly.
Something new, you're guaranteed any problem that's going to arise is going to be taken care of through a warranty department.
And another thing, before we go too much further, when you talked about money basically invested before the property begins to earn income, is it with the draws on a construction loan?
Correct.
You wouldn't necessarily be on the hook for all of it until it's
complete.
Yeah,
right. Exactly. So there is that's what I'm talking about. You are going to have some infrastructure costs. You are going to have your, if you're not a cash buyer, you are going to have some costs associated with the build as far as the interest and things like that goes, where you're going to be spending money on not earning income. But again, that's more of a short-term deal.
Sure.
I think you're going to make up for that in multitude on the back end of it. So, and I think that it's great when you're one of those people out there. You're a big-time investor and you're looking to come in and build a portfolio in Austin, get a couple rental properties, a couple duplexes, or whatever it is, and that's fantastic. But what about the people that are maybe already living here? Mm-hmm. Maybe own a piece of land.
Right.
We did the Home and Garden Show a couple weeks ago, and there was a lady that walked up to us and was talking to me, one of my counterparts, and she owns a big corner lot in downtown Austin, or not downtown, but, in the east side of Austin. She's got a 1,500 square foot home on this almost third of an acre lot, wow. And she has the ability to maybe build an additional dwelling unit back there. So you can add, there's certain specifications as far as the size of the additional dwelling unit, but now, there's a lot of people that are, maybe bought a house. My sister is a perfect example. Bought her house about 15 years ago down in South Austin. I think they paid like $120,000 for it. It appraised out at like $410,000. And so now they're renting it out. They have a pretty decent piece of property. They could probably build a small dwelling unit behind it, and get extra income on that property. But so I think there's people out there that own homes that have appreciated in value, and maybe it hasn't appreciated enough for you to say tear it down and rebuild from scratch, but it probably has appreciated enough for you to look at possibly adding a secondary dwelling unit to your property that you can then rent out, and then that money now becomes your nest egg development for building out your newer home.
Right, exactly.
And so. I've talked to several individuals too that have wanted to build a home. That maybe I should just build my home and rent my home out. So there's several opportunities. I think that it goes back to like we talked about earlier, is that freedom. We have the ability to pivot, make the changes, and make it right for each individual buyer.
Now, isn't it, because you made me think of several things that I'm aware of that's happened in Austin city planning through the city council. They had commissioned that Code Next some time ago, where the emphasis was on increasing density as you got closer to downtown Austin. I don't know if incentive would be the right word, but don't they actually encourage people to do what you're just talking about, to increase the density, to add a secondary dwelling unit and or?
There's actually a whole lot going on right now with the Infill Coalition of the City of Austin. There's one of my counterparts is actually on I think he's on the board of directors for the Infill Coalition. One of my former bosses is the president of it. And they're really focusing hard on working with the city of Austin on kind of relinquishing this almost stranglehold of development criteria in order to allow for more rental property and affordable housing down in the infill area. So there's a lot going on. And I think that the tide is turning a little bit on that, and I think it's going to be made a little bit more accessible for people. Of course, costs are always going to be an issue there, but if we can get through some of the hurdles that the city of Austin has put up recently and really allow for the open up expansion of that infill opportunity, I think the opportunities are endless.
Now, is that also something that David Weekley would assist with? In the planning stages, I come to you and say, hey, listen, I'm thinking about building an ADU or a duplex, whatever the case might be. Kind of thinking about, let's say, the central Austin, south, north, whatever, where the lots are bigger. Is that something that your company would assist with and kind of figuring out?
We'll absolutely help with that due diligence phase. The feasibility of it, I guess, is what you're talking about. Yeah, we'll definitely take a look at the feasibility of it because there are certain specifications. There's the McMansion protocols when you're building there. Your lot has to be a certain size to be able to support 2 dwellings.
Gotcha.
The secondary dwelling can't be, it's something, I don't know the percentages off the top of my head, and I apologize for that, but we could work with that. So I think for this, with this, it's like, okay, let's start the conversation and let's see what it is. Now, is that I own a home and I have the opportunity to develop an additional dwelling unit on this property, or is it, hey, there's this dilapidated home on this piece of property, the price seems a little high, but if I can build an A and B unit on here for rental, it does make sense financially. Can I do that? And we can easily get on the Austin website and get on some different permitting authorities and look at what the actual codes for that specific area are.
Before they actually place it off, in the example, really? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, if somebody wants to come to us and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking about doing, for me, I think it's us being a resource is what's going to set us apart. I can't tell you how many times a day I'll call somebody back. We have through our website, we have some traffic of people that will reach out wanting information. And I get at least once a day, maybe 3 or 4 times a week, a person going, I'm just glad somebody called me back.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. And I'm like, really? It's interesting. Everyone's so busy. I'm like, who's too busy to return a phone call? You never know what's on the other end of that line. And so for me, I'm always happy to go out and do what's needed to help, do something for somebody. I think that the art of doing for people is
it is. It sometimes can get lost in the hustle and the bustle, and we figure we got too much going on. But I'm right with you there. Is that if somebody's going to take the time to reach out,
absolutely,
you never know what that inquiry could lead to. So, but anyway, well, very clear. Thank you for kind of like outlining that. As someone who is working with or have had the opportunity to work with a lot of out of state who are interested in the Austin area, interested in investing, sometimes running into challenges on building or finding that single family home, particularly in the new build communities. I think an example or some of the things that we're talking about here would provide them the opportunity to probably be a little bit more competitive than they would be if they're tied to the market. Well, what I'm getting to is this: when you said that it doesn't matter where you build it. I mean, if we select the plans, and of course it would be on the individual to purchase the actual land. Mm-hmm. But assuming that that's done, is that the cost to actually build the structure is not going to be any more, regardless of where I might want to.
Correct. Yeah, the home base price. So whatever it is, the base price is going to be the base price.
Plus or minus any upgrades.
The ancillary stuff. Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, it's I can't control a tap fee in downtown Austin versus a tap fee in Marble Falls. Right. There's a vast difference. I mean, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like if you want to build. If you go to our website and you look on the Building Your Lot website and you look at a base price for a home, that's the base price for that home, whether you're building in Elgin, South Austin, Marble Falls. There's a certain geographical area that we're going to hit, and there's an expanded geographical area where we do have a little bit of an adder because, we always use the same trades. Now we're always looking for good trades out there to help to expand and make us a more, economically viable and give us more leverage and more strength in the consistency range, so because delays are a big issue right now, just supply chain issues and stuff like that. So not to say we're not always looking for more vendors, but we're not going to look for a trade. If we get someone to build a home in Killeen, we're not going to go try and find somebody in Killeen to build that home. We're going to take one of our trades from Austin and we're going to have them go to Killeen to build that home. So there's a travel difference that happens with that. So, but if you're talking about this general Austin area, it's not going to be a difference in price. I've been talking with the lady for about a year now, and our conversations kind of dwindled about 4 or 5 months ago because all of the plans that I have are 2,000 square feet or above, and on the suburban side, we do have some urban plan mixes that are a little smaller than that, but they're also not really geared towards a investment type deal. She goes, well, what my investors are looking for is a little smaller. They're looking for 1,500 to 1,800 square feet. And I was like, well, we have hundreds of those homes, I was just like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we have 28 communities, active communities in Austin, and I can build any one of those floor plans. So now her thing is now trying to find a piece of land for her investors out in that Taylor Elgin area that can be subdivided, where they can put like 10 to 20 single family, 1,500 square foot homes for the influx of jobs that are going to come over the next couple of years, not only to the people that are going to be working in these new companies that are coming with your Teslas and your Samsungs and whatnot, but just the people that are needed to build these factories. Like, I mean, these plants. I mean, there's people are moving here to actually build this stuff. So there's lots of moving here. I mean, we even built all the way down in San Marcos, so there's opportunity and there's land out there. And if people are willing to do a little bit of hunting, this is a very viable option, I think, for, on a plethora, whether it be out in the outskirts or geographically focused on taking advantage of the new businesses that are going to be going up in the East Austin area, or it's wanting to just, take advantage of what's happening in downtown Austin.
Absolutely. I mean, and you kind of hit on it. I mean, it's a very large metro area. Each area has advantages, disadvantages with respect to proximity to whatever it is that might be important. I mean, certainly if the soccer is important to you, right? Proximity to that new stadium should be important. But if you're working for Tesla or you're working for the new Samsung plant, proximity to that workplace is probably going to be a higher priority.
Correct.
I mean, I've talked to a lot of folks about this, is that where some call that tech corridor there, where the Apple campus is, drive time there from, say, Leander is not nearly as bad as it seems if you do Leander to downtown Austin.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, in my opinion, one of the reasons that whole area along 183 has blown up so much. But coming back to the investment properties, one of the things I think I heard you say without specifically saying it, it really comes down to that investor's plan. In other words, is if someone is anticipating, which is valid, increased demand for housing in the Taylor area, certainly there are builders out there in communities, and if someone could develop, I don't know how big this project was they were referring to, that would be an alternative depending upon when they could be ready for move-in and things like that, to actually provide an alternative to someone who may be looking in that area.
Well, yeah, and it's one of those deals where it depends on your pockets, depends on what you're going to. If you've got $1 million or if you have $10 million, $10 million may buy you 5 rental properties in downtown Austin. $10 million may also buy, or 10 rental properties in downtown Austin. $10 million may build you 20 rental opportunities in surrounding areas.
Yeah, exactly.
So where do you want to do that money? And so there's definitely choices and plans to have. But I think that one important thing is that with the builder a lot investment opportunity, there's that freedom and the opportunity, And then even on a design side, I mean, our design teams worked up some great, partnered with Sherwin-Williams on some exterior selection schemes, and we have some great interior design packages that we've got pre-developed. So, I mean, again, an investor's not sitting there, they're not agonizing over the kitchen countertops. Right. They're just like, give me the A and give me that color scheme and let's get to going on this. Theirs is time is money, let's move, let's build, let's hustle, let's go. And that's our same vantage point. We want to get into a project. We want to make sure it's built quality, built in a timely fashion, the way we know how to do it, and move on to the next one. So,
well, not to repeat some of the stuff we went over in other videos, but to kind of compare what I'm hearing you describe David Weekley versus a true custom builder. Is it more likely than not your overall cost is going to be lower?
100%. Yeah.
You're also going to have more selection in that, with just the vast number of plans that you have available. Correct. You're going to have, with respect to any kind of new, because let's say in East Austin you're going to build an A and a B unit, and then you instead of renting, you want to sell those units. Mm-hmm. Is that you as the builder are the one who provides that warranty on those structures, correct? Which, again, someone who is just effectively financing or investing in that project would not necessarily have to monitor or service any type of warranty.
No, it's the warranties attached to the project.
Exactly,
The warranties attached to that. I mean, I think you go back to something we talked about. I mean, I don't think of kind of custom in this realm, because to me, when I think about a custom builder, I think about a person who is, they want this like specific, unique, one-off, these real detailed and intricate builds, and I think that's a fantastic thing, But if you're looking at an investment property, that doesn't really play into it. And so what's the point of paying someone who's going to charge you for all this intellectual bravado they have when you really just want a really solid, well-built structure that's going to last, provide you, some worry-free maintenance and look nice, and that's exactly what we have, and it's for a good price. And we're gonna treat every single home as if it is your home, but you're not having to pay that astronomical price for somebody who has this. I don't want to say pride's a bad word, because we have a lot of pride in what we build, but our methods and the way we do things and how we do it is sustainable. It's consistent. It's not like individual project is different. We have the David Weekley way. It's how we build things, and so I think that with us, you have that top quality at a price that is manageable for you to, in turn, make money on this investment.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course, the one thing that came to my mind is that economy of scale. If I'm a builder that does 5 houses a year, I'm certainly not going to be buying in the same volume as, say, David Weekley. Yep. So that's going to give you the ability to not necessarily pass the savings on, but that's going to give you a distinct advantage when it comes to who's going to deliver those windows first, or whatever the case might be. So.
Well, and the economy of scale is fantastic, because we're, like I said, this isn't something that we've been entrenched in for a number of years. This is a newer area for us, and we're learning and we're growing. And so I think that we are looking for opportunities to grow this aspect of our business. And so for us to come in here, if somebody says, well, you're going to build me 2 for this price, what if I can get you to build me 10 or 8? Well, okay, well, let's talk.
Interesting. Okay,
let's have a conversation around that, because I'm not going to say, and the reason I'm saying that is, I'm not going back on the fact that I said it doesn't matter what part of town we build in, but if you're going to come to me and you're going to tell me, hey, I can build 1 home with you, or I can build 5 homes with you, I mean, I'm always going to ask that question too. Exactly. I mean, if I'm the customer and I said I'm going to build 1, I'm going to have you build 1, or I'm going to build 5, what kind of deal can you cut me? I don't know. Let's see. Let's figure it out. Let's see what we can do for you.
That's a valid point. That's a valid point.
Because it's always easier for us to go and just piggyback and work that way. So if we have that opportunity and we have that guaranteed revenue, and it's allowing us to expand what our specialty is, there's always room for talk.
No, very good, very good. Well, I guess all we need is your ideas.
That's right.
So, anything else comes to mind? I mean, I know we kind of covered a lot of areas here, and if they're considering something like this, anything that they probably need to be aware of, or questions that they may need to ask themselves in their planning, or?
There's a plethora of questions to ask yourself. I think that really the best thing to do is to start the conversation. And it's to pick up the phone, go to davidweekley.com, and you go to Austin, and you can submit some information. You can call this number on there, and you'll get plugged into one of our internet advisors. And if you said, I saw a video about building on your lot and investment opportunity, and I'd love to learn more about that, it'll get to one of myself or one of my other amazing Build on Your Lot team members, and we'll be able to start that conversation.
Gotcha. Now, as an alternative, you can call the number listed under mine, and you'll talk to me directly.
There you go.
and then I'll get you in contact. But anyway, so that's a good call out, because this is certainly not something that somebody just wakes up one day and then it all falls together. This is typically, the build itself, you've said in previous videos, is like, you're looking at like 18 months probably minimum, before when we first sit down, when we take delivery. So there's a lot of planning that goes into it. And why not, if someone's having the thought or someone's thinking about investing in Austin, why not at least explore the option? There may be something there that you hadn't even thought about before.
Correct.
Because all the stuff they talk about in all the investment seminars and all the books and all that kind of stuff, they may not necessarily be talking about some of the stuff that you may be able to do to help a different way of getting to whatever your financial goals might be as an investor.
A lot of the investment property stuff that I see is all about rehab.
Exactly.
Rehab. Well, why take something that somebody else has already done and you do an inspection, you do all this stuff, and you think you have everything nailed down, and then all of a sudden halfway through the project you find out a foundation issue or something like that. Eliminate that risk.
Right. Or the one that I often see a lot is spend a ton of money upgrading the kitchen, the bathroom, and all that kind of stuff, and don't do anything to the exterior. Yep. And from the curb, it looks like it was built in 1960. But you walk inside, it's like magically it's been redone.
Well, what the heck happened?
It's like, as opposed to, having that because there's a different kind of buyer taste, renter taste when it comes to current market, and there's just something about current designs that are appealing, or the builders wouldn't build them that way.
It's very funny you mention this. I've got a buddy of mine from college who lives out in Colorado, and he always does these little videos of like people that are investing in rental property. It's one of his big things. He's got a big rental property business, and he talks about when you're an investor to look for the lack of curb appeal. And he talks about that. Well, it's interesting because he says, come look at this home, and he showed a home from the street that looked okay. And you walk inside, and it's updated to the nines.
Yeah.
Now, if you're going to buy that property and you want to hold on to it for an extended period of time, that may be a good idea. But if you don't have that curb appeal, you're already knocking off some of the dollars and cents that could be earned on that down the road. And you're going to have to reinvest in that. If you want to end up selling the property, you're almost going to have to update the exterior as well. But everyone wants to focus on the interior. Everyone's on a budget. So, instead of doing all this, to me it's like running a marathon and then just kind of quitting at the finish line. You're like, okay, well, I beat everybody.
Yeah.
But you didn't cross the finish line. New build is you cross the finish line first, and you're holding the trophy up.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good point. I like it. Well, lots of opportunities, and I like what you said. It's like if somebody's thinking about it, boom, they need to start the conversation and see if we can't, maybe develop some ideas together, because it sounds to me like you're willing to consider when you said the thing about building 1, building 5, building 10. Well, let's see what we can do here.
Absolutely. So, we've finished up some projects that are a couple of dual unit on one lot, and then we just finished up a big one that was about 8 units, and so we're working on another one as well that should be ready around Q3 of this year. But I think we're looking to continue to grow that aspect of our business and understand how, knowing that we are, this is a newer aspect to us, you're going to have the ability, we're going to be open to input. We're going to be open to ideas and changing and pivoting and what makes most sense.
Thank you again for stopping by. I think this has been very beneficial to me. Any comments, please put them in the underneath the video here. I got your contact information, my contact information in the video description. Any parting words?
No.
All right.
Everyone stay safe.
All right then. Thanks. Have a great day.